The Last Dream. Chapter 1. The Beginning.
The alien and I had engaged in a ludicrous argument. Personally, I was extremely irritated by the petulant attitude of this creature. He kept throwing his contempt for us, humans, in my face.
"You are little more than a chimpanzee,"
He said,
a dressed ape loaded with prejudices.
although his insults were hurled at me, he did not refer to me exclusively. He was talking about all humans.
A weak and mortal mammal, and as such you are going to decompose into a lump of putrefying fertilizer so that you are finally of some use. You are a deplorable creature. You have swallowed everything unscrupulously. You are the plague of this planet. A virus that devours and destroys its host. A fool full of vanity and no intelligence.
His insults filled me with anger. Though in part, somewhere in my consciousness, I found meaning in what he said. It was all part of a dream, and I knew it. But I couldn't wake up. I was trapped. The unusual thing was that I rarely dreamed, much less nightmares. Usually my nightmares began in the morning when I woke up. At dawn, at that moment when I began to become conscious with the sound of the alarm clock, when it was time to face the fucking reality, the immense and crushing reality of life, with its burden of guilt and broken dreams, and why not? With its infamous monotony.
Fools.
He shouted. It was a rare creature, with a certain familiar appearance, and even though it was a dream and I knew it, I could smell its sour, pungent scent. He had a huge head like a pumpkin, one of those that are put on sale in the markets during the Halloween holidays. Its color, unlike how Hollywood stories paint it, was not green. It was rather brownish. He had bulging eyes like a toad. He was flat and pot-bellied, and instead of arms and legs, he had tentacles. He spoke perfect English, however, and had a large vocabulary of expletives that he shouted contemptuously,
Idiots, cretins, inept, scoundrels, fools, clumsy, selfish, arrogant. Stupidity is going to exterminate you, you ignorant parasites, credulous of the irrational and incredulous of reason. You will not perish from an apocalypse falling from the sky. You will disappear by your own causes. You will be the victims of your own stupidity. You are so full of vanity and greed that you prefer to devour yourselves rather than abandon your ambitions.
In the paroxysm of his speech of rejection of humanity, his pumpkin head was swelling to the point of seeming to explode. But before that happened, my dream became fuzzy and murky. The insults of the misbehaved visitor from another planet mingled with the distant echo of an incisive murmur that ended up dragging my subconscious into another dimension of the dream itself. I could see from the top of a skyscraper how a huge crowd moved through the streets menacingly, as if it were an army of Quixotes, all charging with spears. The murmur grew louder until it became a scandal. They shouted euphorically, "Kill the towers! They are the enemy. They want to exterminate us. It is a plot." I felt that impulse of a comic book hero, and hanging from the top of the building, I shouted to them, "Stop! They are just towers. There is no danger in them. You have no reason to fear them. Fear is in your heads." But it was of no use. They were not set to listen to me. In fact, they were not listening to anyone but themselves. They threw themselves like beasts against the towers with enormous fury until they tore them down. When there were no more towers to be torn down, the irrational and sick passion that intoxicated them dissipated, and the Quixotes resumed their original appearance. There were all kinds of people: students, housewives, manual workers, and even academics. The battle had come to an end. The blind and tormented mass found satisfaction in its delirious skirmish, from which it emerged victorious to return to its usual mechanical form. Suddenly, I was in the middle of the crowd, and I could hear them. They chattered in the crowd, but they only listened to themselves. It was a dialogue of monologues. Evidently, everything was returning to normal. When their faces had regained their natural appearance, you could see in their eyes a crystalline and perverse gleam, as when the rules have been broken, and somehow that makes them believe that they are free. Free of something, even if many did not know exactly free from what. And with that same triumphant expression, they began to take out their phones all at the same time. They took pictures frantically, as if possessed by some sick addiction. Once their thirst for self-portrait was satiated, in what they supposed to be their most heroic moment, they put their phones back away and went about their lives as if nothing had happened. I was curious and began to ask them, "Why did you do that?"
They want to kill us,
replied one among crowd.
They think they can fool us.
He said, "Who? Who is trying to fool you?"
The government, the media, the scientists, the nouveau riche, the opposition party, the Chinese, everyone. It's all a plot. They simply want to exterminate us.
At that moment, a frightful thought took over me. We are doomed. We are nothing but a sea of emotions, prey to our passions, and subject to the pressures of society. We are a flock at the mercy of its shepherds. It is enough for them to play with our emotions and instincts. And like cattle, blind with fury, we run to the slaughterhouse. Then I remembered the words of the alien that resounded in my head like cannonballs.
Donkeys, madmen, idiots, ignorant. Your stupidity is going to extinguish you.
His insults stuck like a dagger in my head, crushing my intelligence, to the point of not knowing if it was my human feelings or my pride that suffered the most. So, whether out of contempt or out of an inferiority complex in the face of this intellectually superior being, I made the firm intention of denouncing him so that he would be expelled from the earth. It never crossed my mind that maybe we could listen to him and do the right thing. No. We humans never listen, especially if it is about admitting our mistakes. We always choose the easy path, to push the truth away, to hide it, to flee from it, to deny it. It is better for us to deny the truth than to accept our blunders. So, I ran away from that hubbub and went to the police station to file a complaint. "Hello, I want to file a complaint," I said.
Take one of the computers and follow the instructions. It's down that hallway on the right.
The officer replied. "It's an alien," I interrupted him, thinking I would get the officer's attention with my unusual statement.
For cases of aliens, it's the computers on the left.
The man replied without the slightest hint of surprise. I was the one surprised. Are allegations of aliens common around here?
Here there is a little bit of everything lately. There are at least 2 reports of aliens a day.
At that moment, I understood that my dream was something truly perverse. I never believed that there were humans as stupid as me. And not because they believed in extraterrestrials, which I took for granted, but because they had the audacity, despite knowing how ridiculous these words sounded expressed out loud, to pronounce them. Everyone knows that these types of comments are only spoken in circles of brainless idiots like me, but that they are never taken to the institutions intended to investigate them. That is the extreme of imbecility. This could not be anything other than a crazy nightmare. Even so, I decided to question the official. "Well, are these cases being investigated?"
Not much, really. None of the complainants has been able to provide a single piece of evidence. By the way, did you bring any evidence of the alien with you?
No, I honestly hadn't realized that it was necessary.
Well, unfortunately, we won't be able to help you. Go back to your alien and ask him for an antenna or something that is completely foreign to Earth, or ask him to come with you. We will be happy to meet him.
"I'll do that," I replied, and I saw him smiling between his teeth, like he was making fun of me. I thought, I'm going to teach this little punk a lesson. As soon as I show up with the alien, I'm going to laugh in his face.